Today's video is on finding a formula. Algebra allows us to write statements in a simplified manner by replacing keywords with letters, and the term that we use to describe the letters is pronumerals. Okay, here's our first example. So, my fish and chip order could look like this: 3 pieces of fish, 5 potato cakes, 4 dim sims, and $2 worth of chips. Using algebra, I could simplify it to look like this: 3 times F plus 5 times P plus 4 times D plus 2. So we're using the letter F to represent fish, P to represent potato cakes, D to represent dim sims, and then because we know the value of the chips, we know that it's going to cost $2, we don't need to do the C for chips. We could simplify that because in algebra we don't include the multiplied sign, so we could simplify that more to look like 3F plus 5P plus 4D plus 2. So, like I just said before, the F, the P and the D are representing the prices of fish, potato cakes and dim sims. These pronumerals are often referred to as variables because their values can change. An important thing to know in algebra is that when we're writing algebraic expressions, we don't have to write the time sign between the pronumeral, the letter, and the number. So instead of writing 4 times D, we can just write 4D. And in algebra, we always write the number before the letter. So even if we're saying F times 5, that would be written as 5F. Or, with this example down here, we have 6 times F plus 3, and all of that in brackets multiplied by 2 would be simplified to what it looks like over here. Remembering importantly that this number, even though it's out the back of the equation, when we write it in algebra, it must go out the front of the brackets. Another good thing to know is that if we had, say my fish and chip order had one lot of fish, so that's 1 times F. In algebra we don't write that as 1F, we just write it as F. So if a pronumeral doesn't have a letter in front of it, you assume that that letter is really a 1. We just don't write it there. Alright, here's a little summary of all of the new words that we just went through. So a variable is the symbol for a number we don't know yet, and it's where we normally use an X or a Y or a letter until we figure out what the number should be. A number on its own is called a constant. So in this example here we have 2 constants. We have the 5 and we have the 7. A coefficient is a number used to multiply a variable. So if we're looking at this example here, the coefficient is the 4, and that means 4 lots of whatever our mystery value of x is. So 4x means 4 times x. So 4 is the coefficient. And finally, the operator, that's a fancy word for symbol. So other examples of operators other than subtraction would be addition, multiplication, etc. And that's just really if you want to be doing something with the values, if you want to be adding them together or multiplying them. Here's another example. A recipe for scrambled eggs requires 2 eggs per person. How many eggs will be needed to make scrambled eggs for any given number of people? So what are the 2 variables in this situation? What are the 2 things that are unknown? We'll just write our answer down here. So the 2 things that are unknown are number of eggs. We don't know how many eggs we need because we also don't know how many people we're talking about. So these are our two variables. Write a pronumeral for each variable and define what each one represents. So, remembering that the term variable means we need to assign a letter. So for eggs, we'll use the letter E, number of eggs, and we'll use the letter P for number of people. Complete a table of values that shows the relationship between the two variables. So if we have no people, then we don't need any eggs. If each person needs 2 eggs, then for one person we need 2 eggs, 2 people, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Write the formula that represents this relationship. So, our rule for this relationship is going to be the number of eggs will be 2 times the number of people. And you can see that from here. The number of eggs will be 8 if we've got 4 people. 2 times 4 equals 8. And remembering that in algebra we don't write that multiplication sign, so our equation will be E equals 2P. And here are the key ideas from today's lesson. A pronumeral is a letter or symbol that is used in place of a number. A variable can be represented by a pronumeral, so the letter. And when a rule is written using pronumerals, it is called a formula. Products or multiplication using pronumerals can be simplified, meaning that we don't include that multiplication sign.